Hey, how's it going, guys? So in the last few months, about 5 to 6 months, I've returned just under 100% on my account, equity curve wise, whatever you want to call it. Shared this with my team from the very beginning, shared through every single trade that we were looking at, that we took, and showcased the idea of taking losses so you can actually make money on your wins. What I want to do for you guys right now is I just want to give you a very, very simple, quick psychological fix that will actually help you when it comes to data collection and doing well in the trading space. So whether you're trading a live or demo or whatever it might be, even this is much better live. This is what I do personally live. When you've entered a trade, I want you to instantly suppose and treat it as if it's a loss. So as you look at my trades here, I have a US 100 trade that just won, played out very nicely, took about 3RR on it in profits. GJ, I have a trade that has been playing out. I've secured about 2.5RR in profits, and now I have a stop loss at break even, just waiting to see what this wants to do. Hopefully it takes off again and gives me some nice moves. But what I want to show you today is a simple and very, very powerful psychological hack. What you want to do is when you take a trade, let's assume here's a trade that we've taken, because I've taken this trade personally. I'm now in this trade through this buy stop. I've just entered this earlier, about like an hour ago. What you want to do once you're in a trade is head over to your journal that you've been journaling all your trades in and simply record the actual trade, which is this US 100 trade, as a loss instantly. That's it. So now what happens is, regardless of what happens to this, whether it does this right now or does this, I'm going to be extremely happy with the outcome. Why? Because in the scenario that this happens, which let's say is very likely, this is not going to change, which means that my current equity curve, as it looks right now, is going to stay the same no matter what. And the reason this is very powerful is because if you allow yourself to assume the loss and you can look at the overall product of those losses that you've been taking and understand that the product is still the same thing, then you're going to be much better with allowing that trade to play out and then following your management rules. So for instance, when I initially took this GJ trade right here, so this is this GJ trade right here, this initial trade was set at a yellow -1. And simply, if I go to the dashboard, notice how the product of those 5 months, 6 months of data hasn't really changed. So I don't care now whether this market loses or starts going into profit. But in the scenario that it starts to go into profit, which it has done, right, I get to update this accordingly. So when I got my first partial, this became a +1. Now, once again, whether the price reverses without me or keeps going into the stratosphere, it doesn't matter to me because my data is recorded and I'm happy with the outcome. But as a trade becomes better and better and better, and I take my next partial because my management rules are met, well, I get to exit another portion. Now I'm at 2.5, as you can see, currently floating 2.5. And now, once again, if price keeps coming down or wicks around or comes down or goes up, whatever it is, this is a guarantee of a 2.5R gain. And as a result, this is the final product that's guaranteed. However, in the scenario that this wants to take off and start going crazy and give me another partial and then whatever it is, and then get me out of the trade up here, then great. This number goes from a 2.5 to around a about 6, I believe, to about 6RR. So all of a sudden, by doing no extra work, but assuming the worst possible outcome, my product, and the product as a business, as you are your own trading business, it's your equity curve, that is your product, has increased in value. And you're guaranteeing that the value increase is going to continue to increase over the long run because now you've assumed the worst possible scenario, you've taken it into account, which means that you are now no longer emotionally invested in the outcome. Instead, you're more invested and focused on the actual rules, the management rules, the trading rules, and looking for the next setup. So instead of forcing anything, instead of worrying about what you're going to do next, instead of worrying about what the trade is going to do next, you now have a system, and you simply get to follow that system without worrying about anything else around you. So for instance, as I'm looking at a number of things here, right? I'm currently in no other trades other than the US 100 and GJ, but I'm also in a dash trade for my personal stock side system. So when I took this trade initially right here, you can all assume I was invested in basically assuming a -1. However, price, as it began to move, I didn't get a partial on this yet, I got to move my stop loss to break even. My stop loss at the moment on this is break even, which means that currently my gain on this is 0, which means if I have an equity curve, what is the final product of it no matter what? Well, it's to remain break even, which is amazing, right? And in the scenario that this comes down, nothing has changed because I've already assumed the worst possible scenario, in this case, which is a break even, or it can keep taking off, right? And then I can maybe get out up here for a 50% partial, which means that now all of a sudden my guarantee is already 2RR, which is insane to think about because, again, a guarantee of 2RR or 4RR or 6RR means that you can take another 4 to 6 losses just to be at break even. And all of a sudden, the cog machine that is trading, taking losses and wins, and being used to it, becomes no issue. So you start to happily get invested in a trade. You're happy to get involved in a good context. You're happy to take that trade because now you know that the outcome is already decided, and unless that outcome changes, well, you're already going to be confident about how that trade's going to play out. So now, as I'm in this US 100 trade, like right now, right, it's still at around break even. The reality of this is I have to ask myself a few questions. Do I care whether this goes up or down? Not really. Do I know what I'm going to do if it goes down? Yeah, I'm going to take a loss right here. Do I know what I'm going to do if it starts going up? Yeah, I know how I'm going to move this thing to break even in expectancy of break even or continuation. So all I have to do now is, because I'm in the trade in the most recent, most worst case scenarios of -1, I'm going to come into my journal or my equity curve, whatever you want to call it, instead of focusing on that little profit and hoping that the profit goes up or goes down, whatever number that may be. Instead, I'm going to come in here and instantly assume the -1. That's it. The trade's guaranteed to be a -1. And now all of a sudden, right, the product over the last 5-6 months since August is beautiful. There's nothing for me to worry about because I know that even if that happens, if the trade goes down and it loses, well, you know, I've done the work as a trader. I'm going to be doing completely fine. There's no reason that I need to ruin that right now. So instead, I get to sit back and manage this. And now instead of worrying about what am I going to do next, right? Instead of worrying about, holy shit, what do I do if this trade reverses on me and then reverses and then goes without me? What am I going to do if it goes up? Should I start taking trades? Should I take partials off right now? Well, no, because now all I have to focus on is rules because the outcome's already decided and the outcome only stands to get better, but there's nothing else that I need to do. So just like GJ here, another trade that I'm in personally, right? We started recording it, and now look at this. Many traders, when they start seeing this happen in a trade that they might be in, would be closing here, 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 or even here because they're terrified. But the reality is I've already assumed the final outcome. And the final outcome, due to my partials, is already guaranteed a plus 2.5, which was decided by my rules, right? So all I have to do now is sit on the sideline and wait for it to either magnify to a larger number or to come back, and that's it. And I'm out for a guaranteed 2.5. And then the question becomes, am I okay with the current state of the product? Well, it's as simple and as clear as day. Of course I am. So when I head over to here, right, and I just kind of look at this, I'm inbound at the moment for about 100% return in the last 5 to 6 months of trading. Now, this is not a guarantee. Me telling you my personal like trading or whatever does not guarantee in any way that you're going to do it for yourself. We had about, I think, 10 people in the last month get funded, which is an amazing statistic. That's so crazy to see. But again, it's no guarantee that's going to happen. This is just my personal perspective and my personal equity curve since August, right? And I've been sharing this with the team. And of course, if you're part of this, if you head over to the #theprocess section in the mentorship, which is right here, you'll have full access to this exact equity curve and this exact data collection thing as well. But that's all I've been doing, right? It's just been simply following rules and taking the rules as I take trades. So like when I initially entered this trade right here, right? So this is that exact US 100 trade that you see in front of you right here. When I took this initial trade through this buy stop right here and buy stopped it, right? You can see this is what I sent the team. The reason I'm not worried about closing here or going to break even or anything like that is because my rules weren't met. And not only that, but I've already assumed the loss. At this point, I already had a -1 written in my journal. At that given point, when the trade was actually playing out, this trade right here was just recorded as a -1. Now, again, if I head over to my actual dashboard, do you think that that -1 now matters to me in regards to a longer term time frame? No, right? And all of a sudden you start realizing that losses are nothing more than building blocks of wins, right? Losses are the only way that you're going to start making money. So now all of a sudden you become happy with this potential outcome and you simply hold your trade and let the trade play out however it may want to play out, right? So here, let me show you guys. So here's the US 100 trade I took, the buy stop through this high. Here it is, right? So this is the, actually, I can even go a little bit further back. There we go. So this is the, actually, even before that, right? So here's the initial buy stop I took. I sent it out as I was taking it. So here's the buy stop. I had it set up, looking for that next leg higher, right? Price then tapped me into the trade right here. You can see I sent it to my team. I got tapped into the trade. I then sent a quick little breakdown of how I view this from a stage 1, stage 2 analysis. This is kind of the mentfx way of thinking about things and how we think about markets. And I'll make more public videos on this soon, right? We're just looking for the market to undergo a stage 1 into a stage 2 and start a beautiful accumulation through the clouds of liquidity. And I kept updating the team like, okay, it started coming back. But again, I expected it to actually go a little bit more in the drawdown due to the way that it was moving. This is normal for me, but that's something that I've developed through time. And again, at this time, my data collection sheet, my equity curve sheet, whatever you want to call it, showcased a -1 guaranteed. This is what it showed. It was still a -1, and that was a guarantee. No matter what happened, I was happy with it because I know that what I've been doing, the rules I've been following, and the fact that I can focus on specifically rules and management are guaranteeing profitability for me. And then all of a sudden, the trade began to play out, right? The trade began to go. I'm like, okay, great, but there's nothing for me to touch. So again, I don't have to worry about my next move because, well, the work has already been done. And then all of a sudden, the price began to come against me, right? And I sent out this because I said there's going to likely be another setup right here for another buy stop. And you guys can take a look at the actual market here. It actually did create that perfect buy stop right here, and right here. So these were all phenomenal entries if you took another one there, as per the ICI criteria that I teach on my channel as well as privately, right? Absolutely beautiful. So this is what I sent, and you can see what I said here as that happened. Let me go down a little bit. Let me go down. So then I said US 100 also ended up waking up, and so far so good, nothing to complain about. Fully thought this was going to be a loss, right? It comes back to the original thing where it was already recorded as a loss, and the outcome of that loss didn't change what I was going to do, didn't change how I was going to manage, didn't change the emotional state of what I was going to do next. Instead, it was already decided. So the only thing that can happen is potential increases in the upside, which is great because then when things like this happen, you're not sat there hoping. Instead, you're just sat there going, okay, well, the trade's already decided. If it wants to take me out, then I'll get in again if I have to. Otherwise, I'll wait for my rules to be met again, right? And then as price continued to move and move and move, you can see I started moving a partial and a stop loss came onto the chart. I used to break even and then kept partialing, kept updating the partial low. And then all of a sudden, boom, the partial low got hit. I took my partial off and that was it. That was the entire initial trade. And then this is what I sent. I expect to keep going, but what can it do? It can easily come back. And what did price do? It began to move. I started to move my stop loss with the price moving higher using the rules that I teach in the mentorship as well as here publicly. Kept moving my stop loss just like this using the ranges created by the mentfx premium structure. And then I got simply taken out by that trade and entered a new buy stop through this next high. And now, once again, that -1 that became a 0 over time because I got to move to break even. So this -1 that became a 0 because I got to move to break even. And again, my curves still look really good. That then became a +1.5 due to the first trade. So all of a sudden, the curve started looking even better. All of a sudden, it became a +3. And all of a sudden, that's the entire trade. Nothing more to do. I can format this back to normality. This is the overall trade playout. And all of a sudden, I'm very, very happy with the way that it's played out. So as I move back to my trading view here, right? So now I've entered another trade. Here's the next buy stop I entered. Again, through the same exact thing. You have a bullish market that's been showcasing bullishness. It's been moving bullish. It entered potential reaccumulation and set up a beautiful ICI. So again, this is the exact setup I teach you guys here on this channel. Here's the ICI based setup. That's exactly what we had a workshop on. And actually, I'm going to take a quick break here. Go and sign up for the mentfx Insider because part 1 and part 2 of a full system approach in relation to the premium workshop are being released and only made available to the Insider group, which is completely free. So make sure you subscribe to that because it's free. It's the email list below, and you're going to get access to that with PDFs, accompanying PDFs. So it should help you a ton in the next steps that you're going to take for developing your system, okay? And here we are in this trade. So again, as we're in this trade, I don't have to sit here and worry about price doing this or anything, right? Because the outcome is decided, which means now instead of focusing on the emotional aspect of FOMO, what do I do next? Where's it going to go? Can I make a big move? Can I not make a big move? Am I going to make money? Am I not going to make money? The trade's decided. The dashboard, the equity curve, the finale of the equity curve since August of this year is decided. There's nothing more for me to do. But because of what I've done, because of the way I followed my rules, I'm inbound for about 100% in the last 5-6 months. This is from August until right now, which is December 12th, right? This is how I personally trade, and this is with an under 50% win rate. And I know that just this trade alone paid for the next 3 losses. And I'm happy to take this as a loss or as a win or as a break even. It doesn't matter to me because the rules that I've developed for myself, the rules that I continue to follow, guarantee that over time, I'm going to make money. Now, again, this is not financial advice of any sort. This is just me showcasing the way that I think and the things that I do and the things that work for some people that I've taught. And you are, most people lose. So you're probably in that basket, especially if you've been following a lot of the dog shit that's online. But I hope this small video gave you a little bit of a psychological lens as to what you can do personally to get better psychologically, so you don't have to focus on these emotional things that you can't really fix with like these small little easy fixes, and instead you can focus on what you're actually good at, which is managing and trading. And the way that you focus on that better is that you accept the outcome. And this is one of the easiest ways to accept the outcome. Start a proper journal even of demo trading if you want. Get your journal to all-time highs, and then begin to live trade and start recording every loss that you take as every trade that you take as an actual loss before it ever plays out. That way, when the outcome is accepted, if you know the outcome, then all you can do in the moment is your best, right? The way that you want to think about this as a final point is that, if you found out, even though this is a little bit dark, if you found out that you're going to be dead in the next 3 years, okay, so in the next 3 years, you're just going to die. Boom. It's guaranteed. Well, now that the outcome is there, whether that's hard for you to accept or not, once you've accepted and you understood that, yeah, no matter what I do now, 3 years from now, I'm going to be dead. During those 3 years, you might spend your time focusing on stuff other than death, right? Because you know it's coming. So at this point, all you can do is focus on family or whatever it might be, or traveling or seeing the world, whatever it might be, right? It doesn't really matter. The point being is, once you've accepted an outcome, once you know something is guaranteed to happen, you start focusing on different things. Similarly, if you accept the loss and you focus on the outcome being a loss no matter what, you can now focus simply on management, right? Which means that now, all of a sudden, you're no longer playing this game of, oh my God, how do I feel emotionally? Do I want to take the profit? Do I not? Oh my, what do I do? Instead, you go, yeah, it's a -1 no matter what. So now all I can do is allow that outcome to be the case. And in the scenario that things begin to play out nicely or start to do something that I want to see, well, now I can simply work that up to a break even or to money made. And then all of a sudden, over the span of 50, 100, 1,000 trades, over the span of 1, 2, 3 weeks, over the span of 1, 2, 5, 10 months, in this case 5 months, you will start seeing an increase in your equity curves and what you're doing and your personal account gains in the amount of accounts that you can get funded with, etc., etc., etc. This is how that is built. Accept the outcome before you take it. That is what you're doing as a trader. As a trader, you're accepting the outcome. That is your risk taken for the potential of a reward. Not a guaranteed reward, a potential of a reward. So you assume a guaranteed loss at the potential of reward, and in the scenario that the price begins to reward the thing that you're doing, now you can focus on management because you're no longer emotionally invested, and as a result, that is how you're going to make money. Thank you for watching.